The message from the Vextar monitoring station traveled faster than light across 3 star systems. War Prime Kethvar received it while his battle fleet was hunting pirates near the edge of Vextar space. The data made him pause his current mission, unknown species, new ship design, possible threat. Kethvar was 7 feet tall with 4 arms and compound eyes that could see in 12 different light spectrums. He had conquered 15 worlds for the Dominion and had never met a species that could surprise him. But the sensor data from the monitoring station was strange. The intruders had moved through the station in patterns that made no sense. They had accessed computer systems using technology that shouldn't work with Vextar designs. Most puzzling of all, they had escaped when his kind's security systems should have killed them easily. Navigation, Kethvar clicked in his language. Set course for monitoring station Vex Prime 77. Battle speed. His second-in-command, a younger Vextar named Thekmol, approached. War Prime. The pirates we are hunting can wait. This new species may be more important. Meanwhile, 3 days' travel away, Captain Jake Morrison sat in his small cabin aboard the Defiance, reading Lisa's analysis of the stolen data. The information was better than he had hoped for. Ship movements, base locations, weapon specifications. Earth Command would be very interested in this intelligence. A knock on his door interrupted his reading. Come in. Lisa Rodriguez entered, looking worried. Captain, we have a problem. I've been studying the station's computer logs, the ones I downloaded. They recorded everything we did while we were there. What do you mean, everything? Every movement, every decision, every technique we used. The AI was analyzing our behavior patterns. Lisa sat down across from Jake. And it classified our actions as something called adaptive threat response with unpredictable tactical innovation. Jake frowned. In simple words? The computer thinks we're some kind of military geniuses because we didn't follow normal patterns. When Ben shot that drone, he aimed for a spot that shouldn't have been a weak point. But it worked because he was thinking like a human, not like the aliens who built the drone. So we got lucky. That's not how the computer saw it. It recorded Ben's shot as an example of advanced tactical analysis under pressure. When I hacked their systems, the AI classified it as superior technical integration capabilities. Everything we did got labeled as evidence that humans are some kind of super soldiers. Jake rubbed his temples. Great. So now they think we're more dangerous than we actually are. It gets worse. The station's data has been shared with other alien governments. The Zorthak Collective and the Corvin Empire both received copies. Before Jake could respond, Amy's voice came over the ship's communication system. Captain to the bridge. We have contacts approaching fast. Jake and Lisa hurried to the bridge. Amy was staring at her sensor display with wide eyes. 3 ships closing from different directions. They're big, sir. Vextar? Jake asked. Yes, sir, and they're moving to surround us. Ben looked up from his tactical station. They're not opening fire yet. Maybe they want to talk. Or maybe they want to capture us alive, Kevin said. He had joined them on the bridge carrying his medical kit as always. The lead Vextar ship sent a message. Amy translated it through their computer. They're demanding that we surrender and prepare to be boarded. Jake looked at his crew. The Defiance was fast for an old mining ship, but it couldn't outrun military vessels, and they definitely couldn't fight 3 warships at once. Options? He asked. Ben studied his displays. We could run for that asteroid field. It might give us cover. They'll just follow us in, Lisa pointed out. Not if we make it too dangerous for them to follow, Jake said slowly. An idea was forming in his mind. Lisa, what's the power output on our mining charges? Each one can crack a small asteroid. Why? Because I have a crazy idea that might just work. Jake's plan was simple and completely insane. The Defiance would head into the asteroid field at full speed, using the mining charges to create a path by blowing up rocks in their way. The explosions would create debris clouds that would make it hard for the bigger ships to follow. Captain, Amy said quietly, this is going to look like we're completely crazy. Good. Maybe that will make them think twice about chasing us. The Defiance dove toward the asteroid field with the 3 Vextar ships close behind. Jake pushed their engines to maximum power, making the old ship vibrate and groan. "First asteroid coming up," Ben reported. "It's a big one." "Lisa, blow it." The mining charge detonated just as they reached the asteroid. The explosion sent chunks of rock flying in all directions. The Defiance flew through the debris cloud, using the rocks as cover. On the Vextar flagship, War Prime Kethvar watched, in amazement. They are using explosives to clear a path through solid rock at full combat speed. War Prime, his navigator reported, following them at this speed would be extremely dangerous. They know this, yet they proceed without hesitation. Kethvar's compound eyes studied the tactical display. This species shows no fear of death. Continue pursuit, but increase distance. The chase continued deeper into the asteroid field. Jake's crew worked together like they had been doing this their whole lives. Ben calculated explosion timing. Lisa triggered the charges, Amy monitored the Vextar ships, and Kevin kept everyone calm with bad jokes over the radio. "Another big rock ahead," Ben called out. "I see it. Lisa, charge ready." The explosion lit up space and the Defiance shot through the debris. But this time something went wrong. A large chunk of asteroid struck their rear hull, sending the ship spinning. "Hull breach in Section 4, Kevin reported. "I'm sealing it now." "Engine power dropping," Lisa added. "We can't keep this up much longer." Behind them, the Vextar ships had fallen further back. Kethvar was having trouble understanding what he was seeing. The human ship was performing maneuvers that should have destroyed it several times over. Yet it continued to function. "War Prime," his weapons officer reported. "Our computer analysis indicates the enemy vessel is using its cargo, holds as explosive storage areas. They have turned their entire ship into a weapon." This wasn't true. The Defiance was just carrying mining charges in its regular storage areas. But to the Vextar, it looked like the humans had designed their ships specifically for this kind of combat. "They sacrifice safety for tactical advantage," Kethvar observed. "Most species would never risk such modifications." Jake was running out of asteroids to blow up and his ship was running out of power. But ahead he could see something that might save them. A binary star system with high radiation levels. "Lisa, can our shields handle solar radiation?" "For a little while. But those Vextar ships have better shielding than we do." "That's what I'm counting on. Take us in." The Defiance headed straight for the twin stars. The radiation levels climbed quickly, and their instruments began showing warning lights. Behind them, the Vextar ship slowed down. "War Prime," Kethvar's science officer reported. "The radiation levels ahead are dangerous. Our shields can protect us, but extended exposure would damage our systems." And yet the humans proceed directly into the radiation field. "Yes, War Prime. Their ship appears to be specially designed for high radiation environments." Again, this wasn't true. The Defiance's shields were actually weaker than the Vextar ships. But Jake was gambling that the aliens wouldn't risk damaging their expensive warships to catch one old mining vessel. The gamble worked. The Vextar ship stopped at the edge of the radiation field and watched the Defiance disappear into the glare of the twin stars. "They use the stars themselves as cover," Kethvar said, with something that might have been respect. "This species thinks in ways we have not encountered before. Should we wait for them to emerge, War Prime?" Kethvar considered this. The humans could exit the radiation field from several different points, and his ships were needed elsewhere. "No. We have learned enough. Record all tactical data and transmit it to Dominion Command. This species must be classified as a significant threat." Hours later, the Defiance emerged from the radiation field on the other side of the star system. Their shields were nearly burned out and several systems were offline. But they were alive. "Well," Kevin said, "that was terrifying. But it worked," Amy added. "The Vextar ships are gone." Jake looked at his exhausted crew. They had escaped, but barely. And now their actions would be reported to alien commanders across the galaxy. "Lisa, what do you think those Vextar will tell their superiors about us?" Lisa looked at the sensor logs from their escape. "Probably that we're some kind of tactical experts who design our ships for impossible missions and use solar radiation." as a weapon. When really we just got lucky and flew an old mining ship through some rocks in a starfield. Yeah. But they don't know that. Jake realized that their reputation was growing based on misunderstandings. The aliens saw human adaptability and creativity as signs of superior military planning. What humans called making it up as we go along, the aliens called advanced tactical flexibility. Set course for home, Jake ordered. And send another message to Earth Command. Tell them the galaxy is about to become very interested in humanity. Captain Jake Morrison stared at the display screen on the bridge of the NSS Defiance. The numbers didn't make sense. Energy readings showed something massive floating in the empty space between star systems, something that shouldn't be there. Lisa, run those scans again, Jake said to his chief engineer. Lisa Rodriguez looked up from her console, her dark hair falling across her tired eyes. She had been working for 12 hours straight, trying to keep their old mining ship running. Same readings, Captain. It's big, maybe 3 times the size of our ship, and it's giving off energy patterns I've never seen before. Jake rubbed his jaw. 3 years ago, humanity had learned they weren't alone in the galaxy. That discovery came with laser fire and exploding ships. Earth's colonies were attacked by aliens who wanted to take human worlds for themselves. Every ship that could fly was quickly changed from mining and cargo work to fighting. The Defiance was one of those ships. Ben, what do you think? Jake asked his tactical officer. Ben Carter was young but smart. He had learned to fight during the first alien attacks. Could be a trap, sir. Or maybe a ship that broke down. Hard to tell from here. Amy Wells, their communications officer, looked up from her station. I'm not getting any signals from it. No radio, no distress calls, nothing. Kevin Harper, the ship's doctor, walked onto the bridge carrying a cup of coffee. What's everyone looking at? Something weird out there, Jake said. He made a decision. Lisa, how long to get close enough for a better look? About 6 hours at normal speed. But sir, if that thing is hostile, we need to know what it is. Change course. The Defiance turned toward the unknown object. The ship groaned as Lisa pushed the engines harder than they were meant to go. Everything on the ship was held together with spare parts and hope. But it had kept them alive so far. Hours passed. As they got closer, the object became clearer on their screens. It wasn't a ship. It was a structure, built like a giant metal spider with long arms reaching out into space. Lights blinked along its surface in patterns that meant nothing to human eyes. It's a space station, Ben said, studying the readings. Look at those weapon ports. This thing could destroy a dozen ships our size. Whose is it? Jake asked. Amy worked at her console, trying to match the design to known alien ships. After a few minutes, she found something. Her face went pale. Captain, I think. This belongs to the Vextar Dominion. Everyone on the bridge went quiet. They had all heard stories about the Vextar, 8 feet tall, looking like giant insects with technology that could turn planets into glass. Their empire covered hundreds of star systems. They had never fought humans before, but they had destroyed other alien races just for being in their way. Are you sure? Jake asked. The design matches what little information we have. This looks like one of their monitoring stations. Jake looked at the alien structure on the screen. It was beautiful in a deadly way, all curves and sharp edges. He knew he should turn around and go home. Report what they found, and let someone else deal with it. But they needed information. Humanity was fighting a war with weapons and ships that were barely holding together. If this station had information about alien technology or locations, it could save human lives. Lisa, can you tell if anyone's home? Lisa studied her readings. Life support is running, but I'm only seeing automated systems. If there are crew members, they're not moving around much. Could be sleeping, or maybe it's just machines, Ben added. Jake made another decision that would change everything. We're going aboard. Sir? Amy looked worried. If the Vextar find out we were here, they won't find out if we're careful. Ben, Lisa, Kevin, you're with me. Amy, you stay here and watch for trouble. An hour later, Jake floated through space in a bulky suit, following a thin cable that connected his ship to the alien station. The others floated behind him. Their breathing sounded loud in his helmet radio. The station's docking port was different from human designs, but Lisa had managed to make their equipment work with it. They entered through an airlock that was too tall for humans. Everything was built for creatures much larger than people. Inside, the station was dark except for blinking lights. The air was breathable but smelled strange, like metal and something Jake couldn't identify. Their flashlights showed corridors that curved in impossible ways. "Stay together," Jake whispered. "Kevin, you watch our backs. Ben, you're on point. Lisa, find us a computer terminal." They moved through the station like ghosts. Their boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. Everything was quiet, except for the hum of machinery. Lisa found what she was looking for in a room full of screens and control panels. "This looks like their main computer area." She plugged a device into one of the alien consoles. Human technology wasn't supposed to work with alien systems, but Lisa was good at making impossible things happen. "I'm getting something," she said, after a few minutes. "Lots of data about ship movements, military positions, strength assessments of different species. Can you copy it?" "Working on it now." While Lisa worked, Jake looked around the room. The screens showed star maps with routes marked in colors he didn't understand. Some areas were marked with symbols that probably meant danger or military bases. "Captain," Ben's voice came through the radio, "I'm seeing movement sensors lighting up in the corridor. Something knows we're here." Jake felt his heart speed up. "How long, Lisa?" "Almost done. Just a few more minutes." The sound of metal moving came from somewhere in the station. Then lights began turning on in sequence, heading toward their location. "We've got company," Ben said. "Multiple contacts moving. This way." Lisa's device beeped. "Got it. But Captain, there's a problem. The download triggered something. The station is sending out a signal." "To who?" "Every Vextar ship in this part of space." Jake cursed. They had come looking for information and instead had announced their presence to one of the galaxy's most dangerous species. Time to go. Now. They ran through the curved corridors as the station came alive around them. Lights blazed on, and mechanical sounds echoed from every direction. Behind them, Jake could hear the whir of machines following. They reached the docking port just as the Yao first security drone appeared. It was the size of a small car floating on repulsor fields with weapons that charged up with a high-pitched whine. Ben fired his weapon at it. Human guns weren't designed to fight alien machines, but the drone staggered and sparked. "Move!" Jake shouted. They launched themselves through the docking port and back toward their ship. Behind them, more drones poured out of the station. Amy had the Defiance ready to go, engines warming up. As soon as they were aboard, Jake gave the order. "Get us out of here." The Defiance pulled away from the alien station just as its weapons began firing. Beams of energy lit up space where they had been seconds before. "Lisa, did we get anything useful?" "More than useful, Captain. I got their assessment files on dozens of species, including military strength ratings and tactical analyses. And they know we were there." "Yes, sir. And that signal they sent, it went out to at least 3 Vextar fleets." Jake looked at the alien station growing smaller on their screen. They had gone looking for information and found it, but they had also found something else. They had found trouble that was bigger than anything humanity had faced before. "Amy, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we may have started something we can't finish." As the Defiance jumped to faster-than-light speed, heading home with stolen alien secrets, none of them knew that their single visit to the monitoring station would change how the entire galaxy saw humanity. The Vextar computers had recorded everything. How the humans moved, how they fought, how they solved problems. And those records would soon make humanity the most feared species in known space. The first attack came without warning. Tony Walsh was checking the water pumps at the New Portland mining colony when the alarms started screaming. He looked up from his work to see shapes falling from the sky like black rain. "This is Colony. Defense calling all workers," the radio crackled. "We have incoming hostile ships. This is not a drill. Get to the shelters now." Tony ran toward the colony center, but he could see it was too late. The shelters were too far away, and the alien ships were already landing. Through the dust clouds, he could see tall, insect-like creatures with forearms and weapons that glowed with deadly energy. The Vextar had found humanity's weakest colony, and they planned to take it as an example of human military strength. What they found instead was 300 farmers, miners, and their families defending their homes with whatever they could find. Captain Rachel Morris ran the colony's single defense ship, a converted cargo hauler called the New Hope. It had 2 mining lasers that Lisa Rodriguez had modified to work as weapons, and cargo holds full of mining explosives. "Rachel to all ground teams," she broadcast. "I'm going to try to draw their fire, get the civilians to safety." The New Hope lifted off from the colony landing pad, just as Vextar fighters screamed overhead. Rachel had never been in a real space battle, but she had spent 20 years flying cargo ships through asteroid fields. She knew how to make an old ship do impossible things. She flew straight at the largest Vextar vessel, a destroyer 3 times the size of her ship. The aliens expected her to attack from a distance like a proper military vessel. Instead, Rachel flew so close to their hull that her ship scraped against their armor. "What is she doing?" asked Sub-Commander Thekmol aboard the Vextar destroyer. "Ramming. Attack," War Prime Kethavar replied, watching in amazement. The humans used their ships as weapons, but Rachel wasn't planning to ram anyone. As she flew along the destroyer's hull, she dropped mining charges from her cargo bay. The explosives stuck to the alien ship's armor and detonated in sequence, tearing huge holes in their side. The destroyer, built to fight proper space battles, couldn't handle an enemy that treated collision as a valid tactic. It began to list and fall toward the planet's surface. On the ground, Dr. Helen Morris was having her own problems. The colony's chief scientist had never held a weapon in her life, but she controlled the terraforming equipment that was slowly changing New Portland's atmosphere. When Vextar ground troops advanced on the research station, Helen did the only thing she could think of. She reversed the atmospheric processors and created a localized storm system. Wind and lightning erupted around the alien soldiers. Rain fell in sheets so thick they couldn't see 10 feet ahead. The Vextar, who came from a desert world, had never experienced weather like this. "Planetary weather control systems," reported the Vextar ground commander. "The humans can modify atmospheric conditions as a weapon." This wasn't true. Helen was just using terraforming equipment in ways it wasn't designed for, and she was as surprised as anyone when it worked. But to the aliens, it looked like humanity had weaponized their own planet. At the colony's main gate, Carl Jensen was fighting the strangest battle of his life. He was a construction worker, not a soldier, but when alien troops tried to break through the perimeter, he climbed into his work mech and went to meet them. The construction mech was designed for moving heavy building materials, not fighting wars. But Carl had been operating heavy machinery for 15 years, and he knew how to make it dance. He used the mech's lifting arms to grab Vextar soldiers and throw them into each other. When they fired their energy weapons at him, he used steel building panels as shields. The mech's drill attachment became a weapon when Carl drove it through alien armor. "Individual combat units with heavy armor support," the Vextar tactical officer reported. "Each human appears to have personal mechanized warfare capabilities." Again, this was wrong. Carl was just a guy in a work mech fighting for his life. But the aliens had never seen anyone use construction equipment as military hardware. The battle for New Portland lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the colony was still in human hands, but just barely. Rachel's ship was a burning wreck. Helen's atmospheric processors were destroyed, and Carl's mech looked like it had been through a blender. But somehow, they had driven off a Vextar invasion force. The reports that reached Vextar Command told a very different story than what actually happened. According to their analysts, humanity had demonstrated several terrifying military capabilities. First, humans used ramming attacks with explosive-laden vessels, treating their own ships as expendable weapons. Second, they had planetary defense, systems that could control weather patterns in real time. Third, their civilian population was equipped with personal combat mechs for ground warfare. None of this was true, but the evidence was right there in the battle recordings. War Prime Kethvar, studied the data with growing unease. They turn cargo ships into guided missiles. They use their own planet's atmosphere as artillery, and their civilians fight with mechanized armor. War Prime, his intelligence officer said carefully. Perhaps we should reconsider our approach to this species. Meanwhile, word of the new Portland battle was spreading to other alien governments. The Zorthak Collective received detailed reports about humanity's atmospheric manipulation technology and civilian mechanized combat doctrine. Commander Vex 6 Prime calculated the implications. If human colonies can modify planetary weather systems for military purposes, invasion of their worlds becomes extremely difficult. Recommendation: avoid ground assault tactics against human settlements. The Corvin Empire reached similar conclusions. General Hartok, their chief military strategist, studied the battle reports with professional interest. Look at this ramming attack, he told his staff. The human pilot flies directly into the enemy formation, uses the ship's hull as a weapon delivery system, then continues to fight even as the vessel is destroyed. This shows a level of tactical commitment we have rarely encountered. Should we adjust our engagement protocols, General? Yes. Classify human vessels as potential ramming threats. Maintain maximum engagement distance during space combat. Back on Earth, Admiral Nora Sullivan was reading the same reports with a mixture of pride and horror. The colonists of New Portland had fought bravely, but they had also accidentally created the impression that every human settlement was a military fortress. How many casualties? She asked Commander Palmer. Surprisingly light, ma'am. 43 wounded, 7 dead. The aliens took much heavier losses. And now they think we planned the whole thing. Yes, ma'am. Intelligence intercepts suggest all 3 alien governments are reassessing human military capabilities based on the New Portland engagement. Nora looked at the tactical display showing alien fleet movements. More ships were heading toward human space, but they were moving more slowly and carefully than before. They're afraid of us, she realized. It appears so, ma'am. They're treating human space like a heavily defended military zone, when really we just have a bunch of farmers and miners who refuse to give up their homes. Perhaps that's what makes us dangerous, ma'am. 3 days later, representatives from all 3 alien governments requested emergency meetings with Earth Command. The messages were polite but urgent, asking for discussions about mutual security concerns and territorial boundaries. Admiral Sullivan realized that humanity's reputation had grown far beyond their actual capabilities. The galaxy's major powers wanted to negotiate with what they believed was a dangerous new military force. Set up the meetings, she told Palmer. But make sure they understand we're not looking for a fight. Ma'am, what if they realize we're not as strong as they think we are? Nora considered this. Then we better make sure we become as strong as they think we are, and fast. Across human space, colonies began organizing their defenses, not because they had military training, but because they had learned that sometimes ordinary people, with ordinary tools, could accomplish extraordinary things when they refused to give up. The farmers of New Portland had started something that would change how the galaxy saw humanity. They had proven that humans didn't need advanced weapons or superior technology to be dangerous. They just needed to be willing to fight for what mattered to them, using whatever they had available. And that willingness to adapt and fight with anything at hand was exactly what made the galaxy's strongest species nervous about dealing with humanity. Admiral Nora Sullivan stood in the command center on Earth, reading reports that made her stomach twist with worry. The message from Captain Morrison's ship had arrived 3 days ago, but already the situation was spinning out of control. Show me the intelligence summary again, she told her aide, Commander Rick Palmer. Rick brought up the holographic display. Ma'am, according to the data Morrison retrieved, we now have 3 major alien powers actively investigating humanity. The Vextar have classified us as a potential military threat. The Zorthak Collective thinks we might be some kind of advanced technical civilization, and the Corvin Empire believes we're planning to expand into their territory. All because one ship visited an abandoned monitoring station. Not abandoned, ma'am. The station AI recorded everything Morrison's team did and shared the analysis with multiple governments. From their perspective, We demonstrated capabilities that don't match our actual technology level. Nora looked at Earth's pathetic excuse for a space fleet through the command center's windows. 57 ships, most of them converted cargo, haulers and mining vessels. Against the military might of 3 galactic empires, they wouldn't last a day in open combat. What's our current defensive posture? All available ships are spread across our 12 colony worlds, but ma'am, if any of these alien fleets decide to attack in force, we're finished, Nora completed the thought. Have we heard anything? More from Morrison? His ship went silent 2 days ago. Long-range sensors show multiple alien fleets moving toward our border systems. Far from Earth, Captain Jake Morrison was discovering just how much trouble one little visit to an alien station could cause. The Defiance was hiding in the shadow of a dead moon, running on minimal power to avoid detection. How many ships out there now? Jake asked quietly. Ben Carter studied his passive sensors. I count 12. 4 Vextar vessels, 5 from something called the Zorthak Collective, and 3 that match Corvin Empire designs. All looking for us? All looking for us, Amy Wells confirmed. I've been monitoring their communications. They're coordinating search patterns. Lisa Rodriguez looked up from her engineering station. Captain, I've been thinking about what happened during our escape, the way the Vextar reacted to our tactics. What about it? They didn't just let us go. They could have called in more ships or waited for us to come out of that radiation field, but they pulled back like they were afraid of us. Kevin Harper, who had been quietly checking medical supplies, joined the conversation. Lisa's right. I saw the tactical recordings Amy made. Those Vextar ships had us outgunned by a huge margin, but they acted like we were the dangerous ones. Jake considered this. So either they think we're more dangerous than we are, or they're planning something else. Both, Amy said, monitoring. Another alien transmission. Captain, you need to hear this. The Corvin Empire just sent a message to their fleet commanders. They're calling us the species with unpredictable warfare doctrine, and they've ordered their ships to maintain maximum tactical caution when engaging human vessels. Unpredictable warfare doctrine, Ben repeated. We were just trying not to die. That's not how they see it. From their perspective, we used mining explosives as tactical weapons, turned our cargo ship into a high-speed assault vessel, and used stellar radiation as defensive cover. All things that go against standard military thinking. Jake began to understand what was happening. They think we're military geniuses because we don't think like military people. Exactly. And now every alien government in this part of space wants to know what else we might be capable of. The search fleets were getting closer to their hiding spot. Jake made a decision that would add to humanity's growing reputation. Lisa, can you rig our mining equipment to create a false heat signature? Probably. What did you have in mind? We're going to make them think we have more ships than we do. Over the next 2 hours, Lisa worked with spare parts and mining equipment to create heat sources that would look like ship engines on alien sensors. They launched these decoys toward different parts of the star system, then quietly moved the Defiance to a new hiding spot. The effect was immediate. Alien ships scrambled to investigate multiple contacts, spreading their search pattern thin. The decoys didn't fool them for long, but the confusion bought Jake precious time. On the Vextar flagship, War Prime Kethvar studied the tactical display with growing unease. The humans are using deception tactics. They make false targets to divide our forces. Should we ignore the false contacts, War Prime? No. If even one of them is real, we could lose ships. The humans have already proven they can destroy vessels larger than their own. This wasn't true. The Defiance had never destroyed anything bigger than a security drone, but Kethvar was thinking about the mining charge explosions and the way the human ship had performed impossible maneuvers. In his mind, humans were becoming more dangerous with each encounter. The Zorthak ships were having similar thoughts. Commander Vex 6 Prime, a crystalline being who thought in mathematical probabilities, calculated that humans showed a 97% efficiency rating in tactical adaptation. This was higher than any species in their databases. Analysis suggests human military doctrine emphasizes individual initiative over central command, Vex 6 Prime reported to their fleet. Each human vessel may be capable of independent strategic decision-making. Again, this was based on a misunderstanding. Jake's crew made quick decisions because they had to, not because they were trained tactical experts, but to alien observers, their adaptability looked like advanced military training. The Corvan Empire ships were reaching the same conclusions. Captain Mordak, a six-armed warrior who had never lost a battle, found himself reluctant to engage what appeared to be a single human vessel. Their ship performs maneuvers that should be impossible, he told his officers. Either their technology is far beyond ours, or their crew has training we do not understand. Should we call for reinforcements? Mordak considered this. His 3 heavy cruisers should be able to handle one converted cargo ship easily. But the intelligence reports made him cautious. Yes. Request additional ships from the 3rd Battle Fleet. Meanwhile, Jake was running out of places to hide and options to try. His decoy strategy had worked once, but the aliens were adapting to his tactics. Captain, Amy said urgently, I'm picking up new contacts. More ships are jumping into the system. How many more? A lot more. It looks like all 3 alien fleets are calling in reinforcements. Ben studied the tactical display. 28 ships now, with more arriving every hour. Jake felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. His single ship had attracted enough alien attention to start what looked like a small war. And somewhere behind these fleets, human colonies were completely undefended. We need to lead them away from human space, he decided. Sir? Kevin looked confused. Lead them where? Anywhere but toward our colonies. If they want to chase the Defiance, we'll give them a chase they won't forget. Lisa looked at their fuel and power levels. Captain, we can't run forever. This old ship is already pushed beyond its limits. Then we better make sure our run counts. For something. Jake plotted a course that would take them deeper into unexplored space, away from any human settlements. It was dangerous, but it might draw the alien fleets away from populated areas. Amy, send a coded message to Earth Command. Tell them we're leading pursuit fleets away from human space, but they need to prepare defenses. This situation is getting bigger than just one ship. As the Defiance prepared to jump to faster than light speed, Jake looked at his crew. They were scared but determined. 4 humans in an old mining ship, about to lead the combined fleets of 3 galactic powers on a chase across unexplored space. Everyone ready? As ready as we can be, Lisa replied. Then let's see how far we can push this reputation of ours. The Defiance jumped to light speed, and 28 alien warships followed. Behind them, reports were already traveling back to 3 different governments about the human ship that had somehow convinced nearly 30 military vessels that it was worth pursuing. In the halls of power across the galaxy, analysts were trying to understand what kind of species could make experienced military commanders so cautious about engaging a single vessel. The answer they reached was always the same. Humans must be far more dangerous than they appeared. And with each passing hour, that reputation grew stronger, even as Jake Morrison and his crew were just trying to stay alive and protect the people they had sworn to defend. Admiral Nora Sullivan stood in the conference room aboard the space station Unity, looking at 3 alien ambassadors who seemed more nervous than diplomatic representatives should be. 6 months had passed since Captain Morrison's first encounter with the Vextar monitoring station, and humanity's reputation had grown beyond all reason. The Vextar ambassador, War Prime Kethvar himself, sat across from her with his forearms folded carefully. Next to him was Commander Vex-6 Prime from the Zorthak Collective, their crystalline form reflecting light in patterns that hurt human eyes. The 3rd representative was General Hartok of the Corvan Empire, a massive being with thick armor, plating and scars from a dozen wars. Admiral Sullivan, Kethvar began, his translated voice careful and respectful. We have come to discuss the territorial boundaries between our peoples. Nora kept her expression neutral, though inside she was amazed. 3 of the galaxy's most powerful military forces wanted to negotiate borders with humanity, as if they were equals. What boundaries did you have in mind, she asked. General Hartok leaned forward. We propose a buffer zone of 50 light-years around all human settlements. Our vessels will not enter this area without explicit permission. 50 light-years. That would give humanity more protected space than some entire star empires controlled. Nora tried not to show her surprise. That seems reasonable. What do you want in return? Assurance that human vessels will follow established trade routes and not conduct surprise military exercises near our borders, Commander Vex 6 Prime said. Military exercises. They thought routine supply runs and exploration missions were military training operations. I think we can arrange that, Nora replied. What the alien representatives didn't know was that human space defense consisted of exactly 74 ships, most of them converted civilian vessels. What they saw was a species that had demonstrated tactical brilliance, planetary-scale defensive systems, and a civilian population trained for mechanized warfare. The meeting was interrupted by an urgent message from Earth. Commander Palmer's voice came through the communication system with barely controlled panic. Admiral, we have a situation. Long-range sensors are detecting massive energy signatures approaching from deep space. It's not any known alien technology. The alien ambassadors exchanged looks. Vex 6 Prime's crystalline form flickered with what humans had learned was the Zorthak equivalent of fear. Admiral, Kethavar said slowly, we may have a much larger problem than territorial disputes. 3 hours later, the true threat revealed itself. Ancient automated defense platforms, dormant for thousands of years, had awakened and begun attacking every spacefaring civilization in their path. The machines were older than any known species, and powerful beyond measure. How many platforms? Nora asked, studying the tactical display. Hundreds, General Hartok replied grimly. They destroyed a Corvan battle fleet in minutes. Our most powerful weapons barely scratched their armor. Our mathematical models suggest a 98% probability of total galactic conquest. Within 1 standard year, Vex 6 Prime added. Kethavar turned to Nora with an expression that might have been hope. Admiral, we need human tactical expertise. Your species has shown the ability to solve impossible military problems. Will you help us? Nora realized the irony of the situation. The galaxy's strongest military powers were asking for help from humanity because they believed humans were military geniuses. The truth was, humans just approached problems differently. What assets do we have to work with? She asked. The combined fleets of our 3 empires, Hartok replied. Over 2,000 warships. And they've all failed against these machines? Conventional tactics are useless. The platforms adapt to standard military strategies within minutes. Then we need unconventional tactics, Nora said, and for the first time in months, she smiled. I think I know just the person for this job. Captain, Jake Morrison received his orders while the Defiance was hiding in a nebula, still playing cat and mouse with alien patrol fleets. When he learned that Admiral Sullivan wanted him to command a joint alien fleet against ancient war machines, he thought someone was playing a practical joke. She wants me to do what? He asked Amy. Command a joint task force of Vextar, Zorthak, and Corvan vessels against automated defense platforms. Amy repeated, reading the message again. Lisa looked up from her engineering station. Captain, we're barely keeping this old ship together. How are we supposed to command alien fleets? I think, Ben said slowly. They expect us to work miracles because we've been accidentally working miracles for months. Jake realized Ben was right. Every time they had survived an impossible situation, the aliens had interpreted it as evidence of superior tactical thinking. Now they expected humans to solve a problem that conventional military forces couldn't handle. Well, Jake said finally, let's see what we can do. The combined fleet that assembled was impressive. 2,000 warships from 3 different empires, representing the greatest military force in galactic history, and they were all waiting for orders from a human captain in a converted mining ship. The first battle against the ancient platforms was a disaster. Standard fleet tactics failed completely. The machines adapted to every strategy within minutes, turning the aliens' own coordination against them. They're learning our patterns faster than we can change them, reported Commander Vex 6 Prime. From their flagship, Jake watched the battle unfold and realized the problem. They're too organized. The machines are designed to fight military fleets that follow rules and protocols. "What do you suggest?" asked General Hartok. "We stop fighting. Like a military fleet." Jake's new strategy was chaos itself. Instead of coordinated formations, he divided the fleet into small groups and told each one to attack differently. Some ships used ramming tactics like Rachel Morris had at New Portland. Others created debris fields like the Defiance had in the asteroid field. Still others used their own weapons as improvised tools. "This is madness," General Hartok protested. "There is no coordination, no central strategy." "Exactly," Jake replied. "The machines can't adapt to tactics that don't make sense." The Vextar ships began using mining charges as area effect weapons. The Zorthak vessels weaponized their navigation systems to create sensor interference. The Corvin Empire ships used their heavy armor for ramming attacks that their designers never intended. To the ancient platforms, this wasn't military strategy. It was random chaos that their programming couldn't process or counter. "It's working," reported Lisa, monitoring the battle from the Defiance. "The platforms are trying to adapt, but there's nothing consistent to adapt to." The battle lasted 18 hours. When it was over, half the ancient platforms were destroyed and the rest had retreated to unknown regions of space. The combined fleet had lost many ships, but they had achieved the impossible. "How did you know that would work?" Kethvar asked. During the after-action meeting, Jake thought about how to explain it. "Because humans don't think like military computers. We make things up as we go along. The machines were programmed to fight organized armies, not a bunch of crazy ideas thrown together." In the weeks that followed, the galaxy's perspective on humanity changed once again. They were no longer seen as just another military threat. They were recognized as problem solvers who could think outside established patterns. The three major powers offered humanity full membership in their alliance, along with access to advanced technology and trade agreements. Admiral Sullivan accepted, knowing that humanity had earned its place not through superior weapons, but through the willingness to try new approaches when old ones failed. Captain Morrison found himself famous throughout the galaxy as the tactical genius who had saved civilization. He tried to explain that he had just been making desperate decisions with whatever resources he had, but nobody believed him. The galaxy preferred its heroes to be deliberate geniuses rather than lucky improvisers. The Defiance was finally retired from active service and put in a museum. Jake was offered command of the newest human warship, built with a combination of human creativity and alien technology. "What do you think?" Admiral Sullivan asked him during the commissioning ceremony. "Ready to see what else the galaxy has to offer?" Jake looked at his crew, now wearing the uniforms of the human Space Defense Force but still the same people who had stumbled into galactic history. "I think we've learned that the most dangerous thing in the galaxy isn't superior weapons or advanced technology. What is it then? People who refuse to give up and aren't afraid to try something that's never been done before." As the new ship launched toward unexplored regions of space, Jake realized that humanity's reputation as the galaxy's most dangerous species had become true in an unexpected way. Not because they were the strongest or the smartest, but because they were willing to keep trying new solutions until something worked. And in a galaxy full of species that followed ancient patterns and established rules, that willingness to improvise made humanity the most unpredictable and valuable ally anyone could have.